I am Ashwati Wilson, Assistant Professor of Computer Science and Engineering Department. I am going to take the topic normalization in the subject Principles of Database Design.
The previous video we discussed about the first normal form. Now we are discussing about the second normal form or 2NF. When a table to be in the second normal form, the following condition should satisfy. And the first condition, it should be in 1NF, and the second one is it should not have any partial dependencies. The 2NF, it is a more important normal form, and then we have to know what is a partial dependency. To know about the partial dependency, we have a fundamental idea about what is the dependency. Then the dependency can be explained with the help of an example. Then you can see the student table is there. The student table having name, registration number, branch and address. And these are the data that is present in the student table. The student ID is there, name is there, registration number is there, branch is there, address is there. Okay, and then in this table, then make the student ID as the primary key. Then you already know about what is the primary key. The primary key is a unique identifier in the table. And then with the help of the primary key or the unique identifier, we can easily fetch the data from the table. Then in this table, you can see that the name of the two students are same. But with the help of the student ID, that is the student ID is different. With the help of the student ID, we can retrieve the data very easily from the table. And then here, then you can see that you can see that that is whenever we have to get the branch name of the student ID 10, and then that is the name of the student ID 10, then it can be shown with the help of the student ID, that is the primary key. And then here the student ID, with the help of the student ID or the unique identifier, and then we get the unique identifier, the single column. Then we can completely identify all the rows in the table. Okay, and then this is called the dependency or the functional dependency. I'll repeat. And then the dependency or the functional dependency is that with the help of a single column, and then the complete row in the table can be identified, and this is called the dependency or the functional dependency. But the primary key can be a single column in the table, or it can be a composed of multiple columns in the table. But it is not in the case when the primary key is composed of multiple columns in the table to identify all the rows in the table. And then here we are coming to the partial dependency. And then the partial dependency, then we have to create another two more table, that is subject table and the score table. Now we have the three tables are there, and then here consider the score table. The score table, score ID is there, student ID is there, and also subject ID is there, mark is there, teacher is there. And then here the subject ID, then you can see the subject ID here. The subject ID is to know which subject the marks are. Okay, and then the student ID to know which students the marks are these. Okay, and then here the primary key act as the score ID act as the primary key. But the student ID and the subject ID together is more meaningful primary key than the score ID. Then how it will happen? Then see, consider I have to retrieve the mark of the student having the student ID 10, and then in this table the student having the ID 10 appeared the two subject. The subject 1 is here, the subject 2 is here. Then it will be a little confusing which mark should be fetched from the database. And then likewise whenever I have to get the marks of the subject ID 1, and then it also little bit confusing the which students marks to fetch from the table, because the subject ID 1 is written by the student ID 10, also the student ID 11. Okay, and then together that is the subject ID and the student ID, make it as a primary key. It is more effective to retrieve the data from the table, because the subject ID is 10 and the student ID 10, then it is easily fetch the data from the table of the student ID with the 10. Okay, and then here we can say that the student ID plus the subject ID together give the details very easily rather than the score ID. And then one more table is here, that is the teacher. The teacher column, it only depends upon the subject ID, not dependent upon the another columns in the table. And then here that is here I already told that the primary key is the composition of the subject ID and the student ID, and the teacher column depends on the subject ID alone. Okay, and then whenever that is to get all the data from the table, the primary key depends upon all the columns in the table. Now the teacher only depends upon the subject ID. This is called the partial dependency. And then how to solve this problem? Then here from the score table we can remove the teacher table, teacher column to the other table, and then or maybe it is in the subject table, or we have to create another table with more information related to the table, and then after that then we can say that our score table is in the second normal form. Hope you that is the concept of the dependency and the concept of the partial dependency, and then how to remove the partial dependency from the table to make the table is a 2NF.